All right, guys, we're going to keep working on some inferencing, but now we're going to practice some ways to learn how to do our writings. Okay, so this strategy is called RACE. We've worked on it a little bit, but we're really going to start getting into it now. So the first step is restate. So you restate the questions using a sentence. So this is something we've worked on a lot. The question is, why was Jim late? You switch it around. Jim was late because. And then that leads into our next part, your answer. So you give me the reason, or give me your answer to it. Why was Jim late? Jim was late because he slept in. Okay, so that's one sentence. That's your first sentence. So this R and A go together for your first sentence. Then we have C. This is cite evidence from the text that supports your answers. So this is where you get to be a detective. And this is where you use things like according to the text, in the text or the story said, the article stated. Okay, that's where you give me the reason why. And then this next step's hard. It's something new, and it takes a little bit of thinking. You're going to explain to me. You're going to explain to me how you know or why that evidence is important. So rather than just giving me the evidence, you're explaining the evidence. So you say things like, this evidence shows me, or this tells me, this shows me, this proves. So altogether, you're going to have 3 sentences doing this. You have R and A together, you restate your answer. C is to cite your evidence, and E is how you provided your answer, or is how you explain your answer. Okay, so I did an example here. So, Marcos ran to his room and slammed the door. His face was red and his fists were clenched. His little brother was always breaking things, but he had gone too far this time. Marcos stared at the broken remote control car and then kicked it across the room. He would never speak to his brother again. Okay, so our question up here is, how is Marcos feeling? Now, this is an example of one of those inferencing questions that we've had. It never tells us how he's feeling, but we can assume. So I color coordinated my paragraph here. I got 3 sentences, and I show you where each part is. This is going to be a good example that you can use for you when you have to do this on your own. So my restate. The question is, how is Marcos feeling? I said Marcos is feeling. That's the restate. Took that question, flipped it around. Now the answer, upset. Marcos is feeling upset. First sentence. Okay, that one should be pretty simple. It's something we've worked on. The next step is citing evidence. So what in this story helped tell me that he was upset? I said, according to the article. Okay, that's that sentence starter you're going to use when giving the evidence. I probably should have said story because this isn't really an article. But you can say, according to the story, he slammed his door and his fists were clenched. All you're doing is giving the evidence, right? What in the story is important? According to the article, he slammed his door and his fists were clenched. Now, for the blue part, I explain why that's important. I say, these are things that people do when they feel angry. Okay, so all together, it gives me a nice little paragraph that fully explains and proves why I am right. So what you're going to do next? You're going to do one on your own. Right here, why was Sarah sad? So even though it was Sarah's birthday, she was sad. She looked around her empty room at all the boxes, and the tears flowed from her eyes. She was happy for her mom and her new job, but there was so much that she would miss. However, there was nothing she could do about it. Sarah sighed as she picked up the box labeled Sarah's room and headed downstairs. So your restate is, why was Sarah sad? So you're going to say Sarah was sad because blank. That's your restate in your answer. Then you're going to cite evidence. I know this because. How did you know she was sad? And then explain why she was sad. What's happening in her life that makes her sad? Now there's some clues in here. You're going to have to make an inference. The box is labeled Sarah's room is what you need to think about. Okay? There's one reason that you're going to have boxes labeled for your room. Some of us might have not been through this. Some of us maybe have a couple times. But when you have boxes labeled for somebody's room, the parent gets a new job, she is most likely moving. So that's going to be one of those things that you're going to need to help answer this question. And then you'll do number 3 completely on your own about Mariah. Okay. So remember, I have this example here that you can use. Go back and look at how I created my paragraph. Make sure you give me restate answer, cite that evidence, explain that evidence. Okay. And this is something we're also going to work on in small groups. So if it's not something you're getting immediately, you can wait till after our Google Meet together and then work on this. Okay. Take your time, private message me any questions you might have, and good luck.